What's up everybody, it's United Weather here with another weather forecast video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at what will eventually become Tropical Storm Ernesto in the next day or so, but it is currently potential Tropical Cyclone 5. We're going to be going over all the latest model guidance as well as the latest information from the National Hurricane Center so you guys can stay up to date on the latest information regarding the storm. And as always, before you get started, if you guys do enjoy these videos and you want to see more, remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It really does help a lot. Motivates me to make more videos for you guys. So going ahead now and taking a look at the latest outlook from the National Hurricane Center. This is as of 11 a.m. this morning. It still is a potential tropical cyclone. It is expected to be a tropical storm, maybe even by the time you guys are watching this video, Monday night, maybe even into Tuesday morning. I'd say it still looks pretty disorganized. I'll take a look at the satellite in a few minutes here. But as you can see, it's going to travel through the Caribbean here, remain a tropical storm the entire time, and eventually when it gets kind of parallel to the southern Bahamas here, that's when it will strengthen to a hurricane. And after that point, it becomes pretty uncertain. Most of the models have showed it kind of curving out to sea like this. However, some model guidance today has suggested that we might see a track closer to the east coast of the United States. I don't think it's going to be something like a Sandy type scenario. However, I think it could track a little close to the east coast, enough to cause some maybe gusty winds, maybe some surf. But again, that is still pretty far out, so nothing is set in stone, but definitely something to keep in mind as we continue to watch this evolve over this week. We do have tropical storm warnings up here for parts of the Caribbean islands. I don't expect any hurricane watches to get issued just yet, but if you were in Bermuda, if you were in the eastern Bahamas, definitely keep an eye on this because the track could shift a little bit to the east or the west over the next few days. So definitely stay aware of that, especially Bermuda. Right now you're in the center of the cone, so I would definitely start my preparations, or early preparations at least. I wouldn't panic yet. Again, still 5 days out, you still have a little bit of time, but over the next day or so, if this track stays consistent and continues to show the center passing near you, then it would definitely be time to make some preparations, maybe even evacuate if you're on Bermuda. This could be maybe even a major hurricane by the time it nears you. That's what the model guidance is suggesting, and we'll take a look at it in a second. But first, taking a look at the satellite imagery here, still fairly unorganized. Like I said, it is moving pretty fast. I did not expect it to move this fast, but as you can see, not really any type of, I want to say, defined circulation going on. You can see it has a little spin here, but again, nothing really too organized yet to call this a tropical storm. But that should change over the next day or so. It is moving pretty fast, so I think that will kind of halt development because it's not going to allow it to organize more the faster it moves. So we will have to keep that in the back of our heads as we kind of watch this evolve over the next day. Now taking a look now at the intensity guidance for the models here for potential tropical cyclone 5. As you can see, it is expected to become a tropical storm within 12 to 24 hours. It will be a weak tropical storm for a little bit, but by Tuesday night, that's when we see the intensity really start to ramp up here. And as early as Wednesday, we could see it become a hurricane as it moves to the Caribbean. After that, it should remain a Category 1 hurricane or even a tropical storm until, again, it gets to, parallel to the southern Bahamas, like I showed you earlier. And then it is expected to rapidly intensify into a Cat 2, maybe even a Cat 3, as some models up here are showing it. And that's when it will pass through Bermuda. So again, still relatively far out, still 100 plus hours out. But right now it's looking like a Category 2, maybe even Category 3 hurricane will be passing by Bermuda in the next 4 to 5 days. Now taking a look at the latest GFS model forecast here, as you can see, you have your system down here just east of the Caribbean islands. Now let's go ahead and move it ahead 24 hours now. So this is going to be Tuesday morning. You can see it already has gone through the islands. That's probably a tropical storm. It looks pretty weak on the GFS. Might even be a tropical depression here still on Tuesday morning. Eventually moves northwest, strengthens. By now this is a tropical storm. As you can see, it has that circulation closed off on the GFS. Continues to move northwest, eventually nearing Bermuda here. This looks like a Category 2 hurricane, 968 millibars according to the GFS. And this would be Saturday morning that will be passing by Bermuda as a Category 2, maybe even Category 3 hurricane here, 962 millibars. And it does get pretty close to the east coast here. It's about 100, 200 miles off of Cape Cod. But as I will show you guys here, if you compare this 12Z model run to the previous run, look at that jump to the northwest here. And the reasoning for that is because of this trough here over the United States. or the eastern United States rather. So as you can see here, it tries to connect with a storm here on the latest run. However, it doesn't really form that connection and the storm kind of gets kicked out to sea. If you go to the previous run here, you can see it doesn't form that connection at all, and the storm is able to just get swept out to sea here. Maybe at the end here it tries to pull it in a little bit, but that's a little bit too late there, and you can see it goes off to the east. So if this trough can tilt a little bit further negative, and this storm can be a little weaker, so it's not as hard for the trough to pull the storm into the west, then we could be seeing some problems for the East Coast. But keep in mind this is one run. I'd say by tomorrow, if this trend continues, you will definitely see a shift west, and that's when the East Coast should start to get concerned. But right now, I think the most likely scenario is it kind of hits Nova Scotia, or maybe even maybe Maine. You guys should definitely watch this. However, East Coast, you guys are still in play. I know a lot of people are saying no, 100% it's going out to sea. I still think it's way too early to say that. Again, this is still 160 hours out. That's more than 5 days out. So switching over now to the European model. This is last night's run. It is too early in the day for the 12Z run to come out today. So this is last night's data. But it is pretty similar to the GFS, as you see. Moves to the Caribbean Islands, pretty weak. It is a little bit further north than the GFS, actually. I should note that. But same strength, probably a tropical depression as it moves through, maybe a very, very weak tropical storm if the National Hurricane Center decides to upgrade it. Moves to the Caribbean, turns northwest, heads right to Bermuda. Looks a little bit further east than the GFS, actually, a little bit more out to sea. But again, this is last night's data, so I don't know if today's run will shift further to the west, similar to the GFS's run today. But again, it is a little bit weaker. It is only 970 millibars. That will be a category 1 hurricane, maybe a weak category 2 hurricane compared to the strong category 2, weak category 3 the GFS was showing. But you can see how much further it is out to sea here, and it kind of just doesn't really bother anyone. I don't even think it makes landfall up here. Oh, it does. But really, that would be a weak, pretty weak storm. And again, that is because this trough connection, I will pull up the upper air pattern here, and you can see here, no connection with the trough here in the eastern United States. Doesn't really bother it, just lets it slide off to the east here. So again, that is something we have to monitor very closely, the progression of this trough as it moves across the country. So we will have to keep that in mind. Today and tomorrow, I think, will be the two big deciding days where we get to see what this trough will do, as it is now entering the country just today. It just came onto land, so we'll have to see what happens. Going ahead down, taking a look at the GFS ensembles. It follows the same general pattern. We're not going to pay attention to this right here, but what we will pay attention to is after it turns northwest, look at this spread here. It is still very uncertain. You have members so spread out here, some all the way in the Bahamas and some all the way up in Bermuda already at 108 hours out. And eventually, by the time we move to 150 hours out, you can see the spread here really just increases. You even have a member now on the 12Z model run in Florida, and you even have another one all the way up here by Nova Scotia. So still a lot of uncertainty, especially on the GFS model. You can see we do have some members here getting pretty close to the East Coast. If you compare this to the previous run, you can see that jump here. Look at that jump to the west. That is something we are going to have to watch very closely. If this continues to jump to the west, then the East Coast should be on alert. Right now, East Coast, you're in the clear. But if the next model runs, and I will update you guys on this tomorrow, if these next model runs continue to jump to the west and the trough maybe connects with this storm, then we're going to have a problem on our hands. But right now, you are in the clear. Everyone in the United States is in the clear, other than some, rough surf maybe on the East Coast early next week. There's nothing to worry about right now. So don't panic. You don't have to make any preparations yet, but definitely something to watch. Now, going ahead and pulling up the spaghetti plots here for the GFS ensemble that just came out, luckily, while I was recording this video, you can see there is one sneaky member down here that decides to go into Florida, then emerge in the Gulf of Mexico and hit Louisiana, or Alabama, sorry. That's not happening. I don't know why that's there. That's an outlier, obviously. We do have some members, I'd say 3 members here that come pretty close to Maine, but majority of the members right now are out to sea. Again, this is a little bit further west than the 0Z than last night's run was, so we'll have to see what happens tonight. But right now, again, you're in the clear for the East Coast of the United States. Nova Scotia, even Maine, I would be on alert for this. Bermuda especially, you guys are definitely going to be getting effects of this probably no matter what. So if you're in Bermuda, start preparations now. Bahamas, I'd keep an eye on this. If it goes a little bit further west and continues to trend west, Bahamas could see some impacts as well. But other than that, that is pretty much where we are with this storm at this moment. So again, still lots of uncertainty and lots of things you have to unpack over the next few days here as this weather pattern evolves and the models get a better handle on what this storm will do. So make sure to check back tomorrow for another update on this storm. Hopefully we'll have a better idea. However, I think we probably won't have a very good idea on what happens past the Bahamas until Wednesday at the earliest. Weather models have been crazy this past year and haven't been too accurate this far out, so we'll see what happens. But with that being said, stay safe and peace out.